entirely. Facebook is really making me frustrated. Hey, Paula. It's weird. It's like saying that I'm running an ad, even though it doesn't show me the option of running an ad. And then it it just does that every night. And I've called and talked to them and it's still doing it. It's like all because I think we ran one ad one time when we were doing the carrot drive through or something, and like now it's like every night, just indefinitely, it runs an ad. So don't understand. But anyway, so we took Odin today to his appointment. As you may know, Odin's been having some back issues, some back pain, and so he hasn't been feeling his best. It seemed like it got a little better with some bed rest. It seemed like he's been doing a little better with he's been doing gabapentin and prednisone right now. And so we've been hoping that it's kind of getting better on his own, but we took him to see a neurologist today, and very little shock. The suggestion was, well, we need an MRI to figure things out entirely. Sadly, MRIs are between $5,000 and $6,000. So we're kind of trying to gauge between everything going on, where sort of the right thing to do is, because he's got kidney disease, as you may know as well. And so with the kidney disease, it makes it a little harder because anesthesia doesn't process quite right, and it may just take longer to process it, or I guess like somehow the anesthesia can actually aggravate the kidney disease, sometimes temporarily, sometimes permanently, where you can kick up from, he's kind of a low stage 3 value right now, whereas like stage 3 is kind of like not feeling great, having some nausea, stuff like that, not being as hungry. But stage 4 is kind of like the end phase of kidney disease. It's not great. It's, basically just losing a lot of weight and a lot of decline. So, hey, Alina, how's it going? So we're just kind of in between trying to decide. We're talking about Odin. So we saw the neurologist today, and sort of the news was, all right, we're probably going to need an MRI to figure out what's really going on entirely, but getting the MRI could be dangerous because of his kidney values. So we're going to get his blood test again tomorrow, and so hopefully that'll give us an idea of how stabilized his kidney values are. But then the other thing is, there's always a danger, even with his kidney values being stable, it could push up his kidney failure, like I was saying, from stage 3 to stage 4, which could be bad. It could temporarily bump him up, and then have him bounce back down, or it could not do anything and it may just be positive. The neurologist thinks that it is a back issue that he's dealing with, and so, a neck issue. And so it's possible, like right now it seems like he's okay doing gabapentin and the prednisone, but the prednisone might affect his kidney values indirectly, causing, the kidney issue to get worse, versus the surgery, could be dramatically bad, or it could just be everything goes fine and they fix the issue. So there's a lot of things in play, that we're trying to sort through, and then of course the cost being, I think he said around $12,000 if it's some sort of neck, like a neck surgery in addition, all total with the MRI. So it is a lot to take in, and you've got, not, Mallory and I always agree we want like whatever's best for the animals, and she's really good at sort of the seeing it from solely the like what's best for you know everything considered in terms of I think just like oh this could be ideal if we did this, and I think sometimes I come at it more from a it's like a sanctuary perspective of okay if we're managing it with pain meds what is the risk because the cost of the surgery is so astronomical and there's risks involved, and so it's like balancing all these things and so sometimes that gets Mallory and I in fights because I think she thinks I'm being sort of too dry, maybe autistic in those moments where I'm like looking at it very objectively. Yes, we have the pigs behind me here, but yeah, so we're talking about Odin if anyone's just joining us. Hey, happy Steffi. But yeah, so we're talking about Odin. Odin's got, ongoing kidney failure in like stage 3, but early stage 3. And yeah, I feel like there's usually one person who's like I don't want to say like emotional because it's not emotional component, but it's like looking at it more from sort of an individual, sort of like I think where I get stuck is I'm always like, okay, long term, if we do everything every time in every situation, there's no way we sustainably can do it, because it's like, well, there's always something more we could do to prevent everything. And I love that, like hopefully someday the sanctuary will be doing so financially well that, we could do MRIs yearly just for the heck of it. But, there's only so many times, like we can have dramatic health issues before you're like swimming to catch up. And if you're swimming to catch up when it's already sort of an uphill struggle just to like stay on top of things, because all our animals are getting older, I think that's one of the challenges is, as every animal gets older, I think it's really easy to convince people when you have a baby animal that, you need their support, or if you have a like sick rescue, but it's like when you just have the aging issue, where everyone's just costing a lot more year to year, and then there's like we had Miles with his surgery, which was several thousand, then we had Huck, which with his surgery was several thousand, and we had Quincy with his toe, which was several thousand. So you just have like all these things, and so then it's like, okay, potentially 12,000 for this thing, but we can sort of control it, and just trying to like gauge, like obviously for Odin we want him to just be pain free and like himself and not have to take any medicines that bother him. So Lena, you said we went through that with Van Halen. Unfortunately, we lost him, but I feel better knowing I did everything I could. But I get it's difficult. Yeah, I mean, I think that Mallory's not that sort of same category of like, if she doesn't do something that she then thinks might have helped, like she will just beat herself up endlessly. And, it's like definitely, it's like, as our family, we want to do everything, but like on the flip side, it's like I lost my baby tooth and I have no tooth there, but I'm like, hey, I can live without it, and if my teeth really start to shift, then I'll go get something to fix it if like it seems like it's really gonna bother me, but it's like that's too much money to do. And so like trying to find that sweet spot between survival and doing everything, and making sure that like the sanctuary's here tomorrow to keep helping the animals that we have. So that's definitely, I think, probably the hardest part, and maybe the part we struggle with the most, because I think in the past we sort of jumped to the like, okay, we're gonna do everything, and then we sort of got like just sort of further and further ahead. We're like, oh, we need to like save some money in advance to make sure we can cover things. But then that all just disappears quick, and then you're back in that same boat, especially as everyone's gotten older. We have Elton in the back room right now. If anyone didn't see, I think we posted in the stories maybe, but Elton was having just like some breathing issues last night when I went out to see him, and I brought him inside, and it seemed like he got better, but his comb's still a little flopped. So there's just like something's going on with Odin. Again, he's getting older. He's had random issues in the past, where his comb changed colors, and even at one point had kind of like almost passed out. And so, he had an MRI that basically told us nothing, and then he got better, and so that's like, you're just in that weird place. Lena said, you two are such amazing, compassionate people. You should be cloned. Well, I appreciate that. And I kind of told Manny when I left the firm years ago, say bye to dental. He just lost a tooth too. Yeah, so it's like, and then I have like a crown I need to get. And it's just like, again, that's just me getting old. And, I'm like, oh, I will never eat anything bad or hard or sugary again. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's like that feeling of like there's just so many things going on, and I mean, obviously we're not personally like rolling in money, like we're definitely borrowing money to do any of the baby related stuff that we're doing. Why are buttered biscuits so tasty? I'm gonna assume it's the fat and the carbs, but Thomas said, I just broke a tooth an hour ago eating buttered popcorn. Yeah, I was literally chewing a piece of gum that wasn't hard or anything. Hey, Mireille. So I was just telling everyone about Odin's situation. We took him to the neurologist today, and so just kind of trying to figure out what our long-term plan is, because the meds that he's on now seem to manage the pain, but the med could have consequences versus going under anesthesia could have consequences. So just trying to map it out. What are you doing, Odin? He's kind of wandering around, looking around at me. But yeah, so we have to keep him out of the living room because he wants to jump on everything. Although I did suggest to Mallory, and you can tell me what you think of this. But yeah, the really quick Mireille, they think it's his neck that's having the issue, and potentially doing an MRI could tell us if there's something they can operate on and fix. So yeah, just trying to figure out, because the cost, if there's something to fix, could be like $12,000. So that's sort of what we've been talking about. But my idea, I'll show everyone real quick, because I was looking for Jackie this morning because she decided to bust out of her area, was to put our couch like this, so that way at least Odin could like sit here but can't jump as high off the couch. But I don't know, it's not as flat as I would like it, but that was my how do we allow Odin in the living room without risk of danger. So Mireille, Alina, glad you're doing good. Yeah, I know, it's such a pain when, like, we were talking about how it'd be nice if like science ever catches up to, at the very least, telling you where animals are feeling pain, and what's going on, or like their level of happiness. Because I think it's like, if he's doing well, you don't want to mess with things are going good and have things get bad. You'd like the idea, Lena said. Find something on Amazon. What's something on Amazon? Sorry, sometimes I'm a little slow on the uptake, as Mallory reminds me. Mireille said, our dog has a cat. I don't know, but it's a dog bed thing. Yeah, we have one of those. It's mostly if we wanted to have a couch, but also have Odin in here with us. The couch is either turned around, which he jumps into the back of anyway, thinking that he can dive through it or something. Um, but yeah, so just trying to figure that out. Yeah, I know it's like hard to figure out because like I mean I've thought about like trying to build our own couch. Oh, hey Larry, how's it going? That we have three pigs here in the background. We got Charlotte, or sorry, Pumpkin, Millie, and Charlotte in the back. But yeah, like trying to figure out if I built a couch and then somehow like covered it, you know, like got like maybe I don't know. It's like hard because you want it to be padded and decent. I mean, for a while there, the only thing in here was like a mattress because the pigs would just sleep on a mattress. But eventually they decided to rip their way into the mattress because that's what pigs do. Hey Bobby, you said, how do Jenna, Maisie, and Annie stay warm in this awful weather? My sister puts blankets on her horses. So unlike horses, like horses definitely get cold in this weather. Cows just seem to radiate heat. Like I will see them out in like the snow with the blowing wind, and they just seem like they'd rather be out there than warm, you know, somewhere. And like when Jenna was even like a baby, and I just got her, she was like 3 months old. I used to cover us with a blanket and had like a space heater that like I would sleep out in the barn with her, and she would just like get up and go lay outside in the snow like it didn't bother her a bit. So cows, I think there's like a level at which they really do get cold. You know, we don't live in like northern Minnesota or you know like somewhere like that where unfortunately a lot of the animal ag operations are, where you get a lot of the baby calves just like frozen stiff. But fortunately Virginia's decent enough warmth wise that we don't have too much of that. Hello, Grow with the Growl Farm and Animal Sanctuary, how's it going? Soulful Love says, I'm still trying to find pig proof products. What kind of pig proof products are you looking for? Oh, that's right. We're going to see you soon, Mira. You are coming to our Valentine's Day event. And just between us, which means everyone in the world can know, Mallory's working on getting the Valentine's mailed out right now. Had printer issues, had like all kinds of stuff just like going wrong. So she was working on it last night. I literally ran out and got a new printer just so she could get it done. Still had issues, and she's still working on it because of things where she's just like having to like figure it out. So that's why she's not here. It's not because she's locked up in the attic, you know, tied down to a post. New Jersey, yeah. So New Jersey's a little bit colder there. Yeah, it's been pretty bad here, but fortunately, even when it's really bad here, it's not as bad as it gets. Like when I lived in Maine, like that was awful. Yeah, I mean, you know, like we watch a lot of Netflix documentaries, so I can just say that if I did decide to do something, you know, it would be totally unprovable. But I do occasionally send Mallory messages on her phone that say, you know, why are you doing this to me? I'm so afraid. And then I go and find her phone or write myself a message back telling me that I deserve it and stuff, just to make sure if I ever do go missing, the police will have some evidence, you know, because it's going to be her. Like, who else would do it? Shoot, did you say what kind of products you're looking for? Oh, bedding. Yeah, so like this is just the, hey, Pom Pom. The dog bed that they had, or I mean human dog bed. So if you want and you message us through our webpage, I can send you the link to this one. It, for whatever reason, they have not torn it, and they have torn everything that they've ever had. and even stuff that belongs to other animals in the house, they take it over and destroy it. So that's just what they do. In fact, they like have like ripped my shoelaces and everything. So I don't know if there's anything pig proof, but for some reason this is like sturdy enough that they can't really grab it and rip it. So far. The cruise ship. Yeah, I mean, I've seen a documentary on that, and it's pretty hard to prove anything, especially when you get off in a third world country. So, you know, if anyone just wants to hypothetically plan something, I'm telling you, like Mallory and I know it all at this point. So, I was at the dentist today, speaking of needing a crown, and I had like like, I don't know, looks like the serious like no light blockers or no light gets through blockers that they give you at the dentist, and they look like ridiculous, but like with my wild hair it kind of like matched, and I was like, you know, I feel like I could make these work just in general. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with comments here. They definitely sleep a lot. Why are you standing up sideways, Pom Pom? Like they love to just get in their bed, get snugly warm with each other. Like they stay out really late during the summer. Like they'll come in at like, you know, 7 or 8. So it kind of depends on the season. Like their pigs are very much if I don't need to waste energy, why would I? So nice. I saw there was someone like mentioned a game they're playing. I think it was like like some sort of like find a murderer game, and like I think they like send you a box, or you can get it at Target even, and you like try to like solve a murder, but I can't remember what it's called. Like, but it looked interesting. So yeah, no, I feel like especially this time of year, like we wish we were pigs, man. Just like jump in the bed and let them take care of everything. But yes, this is a pig. This is Pumpkin here, and she is wanting to be loved in the background. All right, I think I'm caught up, but if I missed anyone, I'm sorry. But yeah, no, they definitely so full of love. They love to destroy beds, and so I put this one out because I actually got it for Mallory and I. I thought, oh, that'll be fun. We'll put it down to like lay with the animals and stuff. And then I was just like, I don't. Why did I think that we'd have space in the house? Like we have like our little corners that like are still ours, like where we hide like, you know, our office equipment, just so that we, you know, have some space to do stuff. But Pumpy, are you gorgeous? Are you a gorgeous girl? But yeah, like our houses, you know, I think the toad Jackie gets about as much square footage as we do. I mean, that's maybe a bit of an exaggeration, but you know, she definitely, at, per her size relative to her space, she's rocking it compared to all of us. Let's see. Oh, and speaking of other ailments, I'm supposed to go get x-rays on my arms because like I banged them, and oh, I have a video of another reason my arm hurts. I was out with Miles, and he just decides to start swinging and pummeling, and so I'm like talking to him and trying to tell him I love him, and he just keeps swinging until finally he hit me like right here, and it's just like hurt sense, but it's just like pain up and down my arms, but I know it started in the elbows, and so I don't know. Some of it's just me being a klutz and banging into things. Hey, Jacqueline, when is the next bingo event? Good question. I will ask Mallory. Hopefully, I will know that soon. If she comes out, I will ask her. I think we were talking about doing it. I want to say, was it Saturday, Alina? Do you remember? But yeah, so like my arms are messed up, and I went to the doctor finally because it was just like so much pain. And he's like, oh, you need to go get x-rays. And then it's like, oh, that's like the bridge too far. I've got to go to 2 doctor visits in different places. So I'll have to be in pain for a little while longer. But trying to think. So if you missed it, we updated on Odin. Odin went to the neurologist today. They think that it's a disc issue in his neck. It's possible surgery can solve it, but just to see if that's the case is like a $6,000 MRI. And then if it is, it's probably about $12,000 between the MRI and the fixing it. Whereas like right now it's somewhat medicinally managed, but there's a danger to prednisone too long, which can then in turn cause him to have his kidneys weakened, but doing anesthesia to do the MRI could weaken his kidneys, which, so it's kind of like this balance of what's going to work, what can we afford, what's going to, like, you know, because that, you know, that would definitely be an immense amount of fundraising to, you know, make something like that possible while still keeping up with day-to-day costs and all that. So yeah, so I'm trying to think creatively, how do I get like our, you know, like our YouTube and Facebook ad revenue just like kicking, you know, like what cool things can we do, you know, like I'm thinking like me skateboarding underneath Jenna and, you know, not getting kicked. I don't know, stuff like that. We'll see. um, yeah, no, that's what it felt like. It's hard when you just want like one place that you go to at the doctor's to just be like, all right, let's send him in the other room and we'll do this x-ray and then we'll come back in and tell you. And it's like, especially when I already avoid doctors like the plague. Like there's a quote by Voltaire, who my son's named after, but he said, despite the best efforts of the doctors, the patient survived. And, you know, I can't say that I totally agree with that. You know, we've definitely come a long way since the 1700s, but I can't say that I totally disagree with it either. So sometimes I just feel like, this probably wrongly, but feel like if I go and find out something's wrong, that's when it starts to be wrong, you know, which is never good if there's something majorly wrong. But, you know, like one time I had an ankle injury and I would run on the treadmill daily and it like hurt to walk, to do anything, but I would not stop running. And then at the end of the year, finally, it was like a year later from when it started hurting, it just stopped. And I was like, well, there you go. I was right. Yep, I definitely named my son after Voltaire. My daughter's first name is Rousseau, so they're named after arch-enemy philosophers. So I'd always tell my daughter when she was a kid, because she'd get annoyed with her brother, that Rousseau actually wrote a letter to Voltaire saying, "Sir, I hate you," because he felt like Voltaire was out to get him, which, you know, was sort of true. So, and I guess now they're buried opposite each other in the Pantheon in Paris. So like Voltaire's still haunted by Voltaire. So I keep telling Mallory we need to, like, you know, name our daughter with like the middle name of like Emanuela after Kant, or, you know, but she says I'm not going to win this one. So maybe if everyone could start cheering on like, hey, you should really name your daughter after Immanuel Kant, you know, we might be able to win this one. Or, you know, if there's any other philosophers, like I feel like Locke just doesn't have a good sound to it. Who else is up there? I mean, Hume doesn't really have a great sound to it. Diderot, you know, this is like not any great names, but like Kant, you know, I just feel like Emanuela, you know, would be like a good name, but I don't know. I'm trying to think if there's any other philosophers like I really love to read. I feel like Kant, Rousseau, and, you know, Voltaire. I don't know if you'd call him a philosopher, but, you know, more just a protagonist of social change. But Jacqueline said, could you do a fundraiser event to guess Jenna Maisie and Annie's weight and have your merch as a prize? Just a thought. Yeah, no, I think that's a cool idea. I need to get our scale working, because we have a scale that can actually weigh Jenna, and the batteries in it, because Maisie decided to break where I had hidden it to keep it out of the weather, and she decided she would bust that off, and then the rain got in, and of course the batteries got acidic-y, and so messed it all up. But Siddhartha, you know, that could definitely be a first name right there. You know, or what's I'm trying to think, like, there's a lot of like cool names. I mean, I always wanted to name like a boy Huckleberry, because I always loved Huckleberry Finn, because of, you know, the scene where he basically says he'd rather go to hell than send Jim back into slavery. And so, but you know, now we got a lamb named Huckleberry, so can't do that. So yeah. Plus, like, Rousseau and Voltaire just have like cool sounds to them, so it like kind of took up all the like really cool sounding stuff. But Bertrand Russell. You know, that's a good one actually. Thank you, Irvin. Like, I think that, you know, I could go for Bertrand. You know, like, I don't know if Mallory would go for a first name, but you know. Yeah, I like that. Each guest would be $5 or something. Yeah. No. Hey, William Davis, welcome to the page. If you're here because of the ad that we're running on this, it is totally Facebook's fault that happened. So anyone that's stuck watching us on Facebook accidentally, it's because they literally will not let me turn off the ad that it runs. Larry said that would be very cool to guess the weight, and everybody chipping in would be fun. I think that would be fun. Like, I think that would be awesome. You know, like, I'm gonna have to get that scale working so that we might be actually able to pull that off. I like that, Scout. Like, I love that book. Which I read every book to my kids way too young. I don't know. Like, I believe I read that one probably before I should have. And like Animal Farm, you know, like, it probably isn't a picture book, but I don't know. But like, my son was always kind of bizarre. Like, I remember, and I think he was 2.5 or 3, and he was sitting in the grocery cart, and I'm guessing maybe 3, but he was doing like squares and square roots. And like, I just remember people looking at him like he was like an alien, but he just had so much fun doing that. But I don't know. So I mean, Animal Farm as a picture book might be kind of cool. So Alina, I have a question for you, actually for you to ask Manny, his feelings on AI in the music creation process. Like, it's so bizarre to me, the things you can now do with AI. And like, some of them for me are really useful, because, you know, like, time wise, I'm like, oh, I'd love to record this song that I wrote. You know, like, a lot of times I write, you know, like, Animal rewrites the songs, and I had one, What a Wonderful World, rewritten from the perspective of if people stopped hurting animals. And I recorded it, but it was like, oh, this isn't really what I have in mind. I need to redo that, but then like, finding time to redo it is awful. And so I wonder if I just take that recording and toss it into Suno and say, do a cover. And it like came out with something that, like, you know, wasn't like, you know, clearly it wasn't like what a musician would create with a bunch of musicians doing it. But it came out so much better than what I had time to do. And so I was like, oh, you know, like, I can see the benefit when you don't have time, but you have ideas that you want to implement into social media for, like, you know, because like, my daughter hates if I use anything artistically AI, because, you know, she's going to art school, and there's obviously like a conflict between jobs for art or artists versus AI trying to just steal it. And, you know, but then on the other hand, like, I used to try to do artwork for Life with Pigs and like draw everything myself, and I just didn't have time. It's like I want to be a musician, I want to be an artist, I want to like hang out with Jenna all day, I want to like do everything that Mallory ever dreams of having done for her, like, but I run out of time. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with it replaces real artistry and like the real musician, and that, like, I don't even think it can replace that. Like, I think that. So yeah, so I definitely struggle with like wanting to implement more creativity into Life with Pigs versus it would take me a few weeks to do what I want to do with the song. But yeah, it's like hard. I don't know. I definitely would prefer if I had infinite time. And there's definitely days when I think, well, maybe I just don't need to sleep anymore. But, Mallory yells at me for that and then stays up later than me. So, that's how it works. All right. Well, I mean, I think that's the thing. Yeah, it's like if it can benefit animals, I want to use it. I would gladly like let my daughter take over doing it, and like would, if she had the time, be happy to like, do what we can to like fund it, to like get stuff made. But it's like I don't think, running the sanctuary, like when you have to like determine everything, cost versus long-term longevity of the sanctuary, it's hard to like make those decisions. And so it is nice when I can like pop in something that I've written, recorded, and say, make this more like this, and it does it for me. So I don't know, I struggle with it for sure. All right, well, I'm gonna go make sure Mallory is doing all right up in the attic where I've tied her to a post. In the workroom, working on Valentine's to get them out in time. But we will be back hopefully tomorrow at 8:30-ish. If we're not here by like 8:45, I don't know. Hopefully we try to post when we're not going to be here, either in stories or in a post on YouTube. So, which is hard to find the posts on YouTube, so I totally understand if people don't see it. But anyway, I will definitely make sure she has water up there in the attic and let her know that everyone sends love. All right, we will see everyone tomorrow. And I probably forgot everything I was going to say, but hey, donate if you can, and sponsor an animal if you want to. And I think the event is sold out on Saturday for the Valentine's event. So, sorry, real quick. William said, I help run grow with the Growl Farm Animal Sanctuary as one of the runs it and got hurt really bad. I am really sorry to hear that. Yeah, and that definitely happens. I've had a couple broken toes. One time was my fault because Jenna was trying to kick flies off. And then the other time was Millie's fault because Millie back there bit Jenna in the butt trying to steal her food, and she lurched forward. She was little at the time, but still, 400-pound cow, still heavy. So anyway, good night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.